What if the voice you carry inside was more powerful than you imagine? What if every silent word you murmur to yourself carries the potential to transform not just your thoughts, but your body, your emotions, and the very reality around you? Today, I invite you to notice with full presence the impact of internal dialogue, the one that happens without sound, but that pulses in every cell of your body, shaping who you allow yourself to be and what you believe is possible. Many of us live with this voice as a constant, almost imperceptible background, repeating patterns of fear, doubt, and self-criticism, like a song we play without even paying attention. And yet, that same voice can be the silent key to opening doors you never knew existed. Maybe you felt the anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere, the frustration that insists on repeating itself, or that feeling of stagnation that accompanies entire days and weeks. These pains, so subtle and silent, often go unnoticed, but they are clear signs that something in your energy field is asking for attention. Gregg Braden reminds us that every thought is a frequency, a wave that resonates in an invisible, unified field, connecting you with possibilities and experiences that have not yet arrived in your life. That it's as if every word you utter internally is a pulse, a delicate command that your body and the world around you receive and respond to. And if we look closely, we begin to realize that it's not just what happens outside that shapes our lives, but what vibrates within. Joe Dispenza complements this view with the science of how the brain responds to repetition. Each thought, especially those that are repeated without awareness, begins to create circuits, automatic pathways, patterns that define how we react, how we feel, how we interpret reality. If you repeat, "I can't do it," or "this will never work," your brain takes this as fact, and your actions begin to reflect this silent belief. Even if you deeply wish otherwise, it is an invisible, almost imperceptible, but powerful process. And the good news is that just as these patterns form, they can also be rewritten, redirected, transformed. Over the next 7 days, what we're going to explore isn't magic. It's not enchanted words that change your life overnight. It's something much deeper. It's about paying attention, listening, and choosing every word you say to yourself. It's about recognizing that your internal dialogue is an energetic map, and that you have the ability to consciously redesign it. Every moment that you allow yourself to pause, breathe, and say something intentionally to yourself is a moment in which you send signals of coherence, harmony, and potentiality to your body and your reality. It is a delicate dance between mind, heart, and body, a dance that little by little changes the frequency of your life. And if you allow yourself for just 7 days to observe and talk to yourself consciously, with intention, with presence, you may begin to notice subtle but real changes, a feeling of lightness that arises when you realize that you are no longer carrying alone what you always thought necessary to face, a clarity that comes from recognizing patterns that previously seemed invisible but can now be transformed. Throughout these days, each word you choose will be a seed planted in your energy field. And with attention, with care, these seeds will begin to blossom in ways that you may not even be able to imagine today. So, take a deep breath, feel your body, feel your heart, notice the voice that speaks within you, and allow yourself to listen with compassion and attention to what it is trying to reveal. Follow every thought, every emotion, without judgment, and prepare to take the first conscious step towards an internal dialogue that not only validates your pain, but transforms it into wisdom and potential. For 7 days, Allow yourself to rewrite this silent frequency. And notice how the field around you begins to respond subtly in powerful and true ways. Often, the biggest barrier is not in the outside world, but in the words we whisper to ourselves. The mind tends to repeat what is familiar, even if it is painful, even if it is unwanted. This silent cycle, which takes place over months or years, creates internal micro-traumas that go unnoticed, but which profoundly affect the coherence of your energy field. Every time you criticize yourself, judge yourself, or repeat yourself as incapable, you are shaping not only your emotions, but also your physical responses, your perception of what is possible, and slowly your choices. Imagine a person who, for months, said internally, "I can't do it." Each silent repetition reinforced the idea. Each thought was an invisible thread that wove a limited reality. And even when opportunities arose, skinizing, making space for possibilities that previously seemed distant, each conscious word is a seed of coherence. Each aligned thought is a wave of potentiality, and so, little by little, your inner voice transforms from a repetitive murmur into an instrument of creation, capable of shaping not only your mind, but your entire life experience. There is a delicate power in silence that many ignore. The inner voice does not need to be constant. It does not need to rush or multiply. Often, what profoundly transforms is not talking more, but listening more, giving space for what you already feel and think to be registered, assimilated and integrated by your body and mind. Silence creates a fertile field, an internal space where changes are not forced, but allows the brain and heart to adjust and recognize new possibilities. It is in this interval between word and pause that the miracle begins to emerge. Silent, almost imperceptible, but powerful. Imagine someone who has interrupted the cycle of daily self-criticism in the first few days. You may not notice anything immediately, but when you observe carefully, small changes begin to emerge. Lighter breathing, a feeling of internal space, a decision made with more clarity and less pressure in just 7 days. The simple practice of alternating speech and silence brought a palpable transformation, invisible to the eyes of others, but deeply felt. The body, mind, and energy field aligned in a way that isolated words could not bring about. The brain responds remarkably when it finds this rhythm. Joe Dispenza explains that the reprogramming process accelerates when conscious speech is followed by moments of mindful silence. It is during these intervals that the nervous system assimilates information, that cells receive coherent signals, and that emotions stabilize. Each pause is like a space where the new frequency can consolidate, where the coherence between thoughts, feelings, and body strengthens. There is no rush. There is no demand, just presence and attention. And that is precisely what creates space for the unexpected to manifest itself. The practice can be simple but powerful. Speak, pause, feel. Repeat this sequence daily. Each word is released with intention. Each pause allows it to settle. Each bodily sensation validates and amplifies the effect of the frequency created. This silent cycle creates an internal pattern that transforms not only the dialogue with oneself, but also the perception of external reality by allowing silence. To be part of the process, you make space for your inner voice to become clearer, more coherent, and more powerful, as if each pause amplifies the power of each word. And deep down, silence teaches us something essential. True transformation is not about constant effort, nor about forcing immediate results. It's about creating space, attention, and presence. It's about realizing that the inner voice doesn't need to scream to be heard. That change doesn't need to be dramatic to be profound. When you combine conscious speech with attentive silence, you begin to Notice subtleties that previously went unnoticed. Signs and opportunities that only arise when the internal field is in harmony and open to receive the new. Often, the greatest sabotage is not in the absence of intention, but in the silent pressure we place on ourselves. There is a subtle, almost invisible impulse that makes us expect immediate results, that leads us to judge each step, each attempt as insufficient. This silent pattern interferes with the frequency we transmit, creating internal resistance, blocking coherence between thoughts, emotions, and body. Self-criticism, when it sets in persistently, prevents energy from flowing, delaying, or even preventing compatible experiences from manifesting. When we look at automatic thought patterns, we notice repetitions that go unnoticed, silent doubts, old fears, unrealistic expectations. They are small internal voices that repeat familiar stories of failure or limitation, and even without realizing it, these frequencies become biochemical signals for the body, creating tensions and behaviors that reinforce the perception of impossibility. It's like planting seeds in arid soil without preparation, without attention, without understanding the terrain. Nothing can fully blossom. Observing automatic thoughts brings clarity, silently recording what comes to mind. Without judgment allows you to notice patterns of self-sabotage that repeat themselves in invisible cycles. Each recognition of these patterns is a step towards internal coherence. As consciousness increases, so does the ability to emit frequencies aligned with what we desire, creating space for manifestation to happen in a natural and consistent way. The perception of one's own unresolved emotional history becomes a bridge to transform resistance and opening. Awareness of this process is liberating. It's not about trying to suppress or force change, but about recognizing that each silent pattern influences the energetic field, and that careful attention to these patterns sets the stage for new possibilities to emerge. Manifestation, when viewed from this perspective, ceases to be a mechanical effort and becomes a dance between perception, frequency, and intention. Patience and silent presence become powerful allies, allowing transformation to happen naturally and deeply, without urgency, without pressure, just with attention and presence, basically. And this process teaches us something essential. Energetic coherence does not just depend on isolated words or thoughts, but on the deep alignment between emotional history, intention, and vibrational frequency. The inner soil needs to be prepared. The patterns need to be observed and understood, and only then can the seeds of manifestation germinate fully and organically. Each conscious step, each internal perception, each attentive silence strengthens the energy that creates new experiences, aligning the body, mind, and energy field in a harmonious way. The words you whisper to yourself carry more than meaning. They carry energy. Every sound, every intention, every emotion linked to a word creates a bridge between your conscious mind and the quantum field, connecting thought and reality in a profound way. When we speak internally with attention, when we feel each word in the body, this emotional language becomes a powerful instrument of transformation. It is not mechanical repetition that creates effect, but the coherence between intention, emotion, and physical sensation. Imagine someone who, for 7 days, dedicated himself to talking to himself consciously, feeling each sentence as if it were real. The change did not come by chance. It came from the deep integration between mind, emotion, and body. Emotional health strengthened. Opportunities began to emerge, and a feeling of internal openness took hold. The power of these words does not reside in what they mean externally, but in what they produce internally, in the frequency they emit, and in the coherence they establish with the energy field. Gregg Braden offers us an accurate metaphor. His words are like waves thrown onto a lake. Each intentional word creates circles that expand, reaching every corner of your energy field. When the waves are concentrated and conscious, they have transformative power. When they are dispersed and automatic, the energy dissipates and the effects remain superficial. This subtle difference is what separates a mechanical practice from a practice that truly transforms reality. Emotional language, when felt, becomes a catalyst. The body recognizes coherence, the brain reinforces new patterns, and the quantum field responds to the emitted frequency. It is a silent but powerful process in which the energy of words resonates, creates internal harmony, and makes space for compatible experiences. Each felt phrase becomes a seed of potential, each conscious intention an invitation for the universe to respond in tune with your frequency. In the end, what remains is a profound realization: your words are not just reflections of thought, but tools of creation. Attention, presence, and intention transform internal dialogue into an instrument that shapes experiences, emotions, and possibilities. When you speak consciously, you don't just change how you feel, it changes what is possible for you. Each word becomes a gesture of self-care and a bridge that connects the internal to the external, silent, powerful, and transformative. 7 days of conscious self-talk are not about magic or ready-made formulas. They are about rewriting energetic and mental patterns in a profound and lasting way. Every word you choose, every pause you allow, every sensation you integrate creates a silent movement within you, a shift that reverberates in your body, mind, and the field around you. Gregg Braden reminds us that small, consistent changes in internal frequency produce tangible effects in external reality. It's not immediate, it's not dramatic, but it's real, palpable, and transformative. Dr. Bruce Lipton adds that our cells respond to biochemical signals originating from the mind. What you feel, think, and verbalize internally creates a chemistry that influences every function of the body and every perception of reality. Changing the inner voice, therefore, is not just symbolic, it is physiological, it is energetic. It is the integration of science and spirituality in action. What seemed invisible or irrelevant gains dimension and power when recognized and cultivated with attention. By cultivating presence in internal dialogue, you create a field of coherence between emotion, thought, and body. Silence, sensory attention, and coherent intention work together, allowing the inner voice to speak. Ornate, a maestro who directs the symphony of life, every note, every pause, every nuance of the internal frequency contributes to shaping experiences, opening doors, and awakening previously unrealized possibilities. It's not about accelerating results, but about allowing the transformation to happen harmoniously, in tune with your pace. And perhaps the greatest revelation of this process is realizing that you are not alone. The universe, silently and constantly, responds to the frequency you emit. The voice you hear inside is actually a bridge that connects intentions, feelings, and external experiences. When you choose attention, presence, and coherence, you create space for what seemed distant or impossible to become real, tangible, and deeply aligned with your purpose. In the end, there remains a reflection that resonates deeply. Your inner voice is not just a reflection of thought or emotion. It is the silent force that drives your life, that guides your experiences, and that reveals the power of your own presence. Every word felt, every pause respected, every frequency adjusted is an expression of your creative potential. What if the voice you ignore every day was actually the conductor that can guide your life to a higher, clearer, truer rhythm?